Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Again, this is our ProLinkHFA webinar series. We host these on a monthly basis. We generally cover different themes along the way. So we're getting into our development discussion and kind of running through our development module, which we started last webinar. We're continuing this webinar. We will continue even further into our next webinar and how our development module connects to the other modules in ProLinkHFA and can be useful to your organization. Today, we're going to be talking about how to structure your development team using ProLinkHFA. Here's just a quick agenda that we'll be running through. So I'm going to cover general information here for just a few minutes at the beginning. Then we'll hand it over for a live demonstration. We're going to talk about where application data resides in ProLink. We're going to talk about 8609s and 8610s, underwriting with SmartDox, cycle management, and Dev and TC data views, and kind of our ad hoc reporting tool available through the module. So I'm Kreuter. I'm the Executive Vice President for ProLink Solutions. Jim Paris is on with me. He'll be taking over for the live demonstration today, and he's our sales engineer. We have been with ProLink, or I have been for many years. Jim is newer than me, but ProLink has been around for over 20 years now, approaching 25 years now, serving the affordable housing industry for the vast majority of our existence. So we've always focused on portfolio management systems, building those for the real estate industry. And in the early 2000s, just a few years after we began, we got involved in affordable housing, fell in love with this industry. We've been providing tools solely for the affordable housing industry basically ever since that point. So our clients cover what we call the 3 pillars of affordable housing. So we have our state and local housing finance agencies, which is really the first audience that we started to support with our products way back in the beginning. We also have expanded to support tax credit syndicators and investors with their portfolio management systems, and even our developers and owner agents at this point with some of the tools we've built through Procorum, and especially around compliance. So really our goal is to build systems that holistically manage the entire life cycle of your deals from that initial origination and concept stage all the way through construction, lease up, and asset management, that compliance, all of those pieces. We've really covered that for a number of programs at this point, and over time we've noticed opportunities through the work that we've done to serve further the individuals involved, the different groups involved. So going back to those pillars, those 3 pillars, down to that owner, agent, developer level. The more that we can connect those folks in and support them with some of the functionality we've built for our institutions that make sense for them as well, we've tried to do that to bring efficiency to that data gathering process, really with our agencies in mind always, and our kind of the compliance and ongoing support of these projects and these buildings, and making sure that they stay affordable for the long term. So that is our goal with the work that we do. Our team is made up of technologists. We're a software company, but we have certainly gathered and kind of accrued a number of folks that are very seasoned in the affordable housing industry. I think that's certainly one of our differentiators and strengths is the longevity and loyalty of our staff and dedication that they have to supporting our mission, which has led to great longevity in the people involved at ProLink who know this industry, who have really worked side by side with our clients over the years, from their initial implementation and through ongoing projects, new programs that have come up. We've been there along the way, and we've developed quite a knowledge base because of that. So just a couple metrics and little bullet points about us and our leadership, ProLink's leadership in the affordable housing industry. currently live on our product, we have 17 state housing finance agencies and 2 supportive services agencies. We also support 5 syndicators and investors currently using ProLink and live. Partnerships, very close with NCSHA. If you're on your way to Atlanta next week for the big Showplace conference that they're hosting in Atlanta, we'll see you there. I'll be there. Jim will also be there. So we're heavily involved in NCSHA. Very much appreciate the opportunity to be in those conferences and have NCSHA speak at some of our conferences to help kind of keep us in tune with industry needs and concerns, and then share our lessons learned and involvement with the agencies we support. We're also heavily involved in the NAMA XML standards group. We support that group actually through ProQuorum. That's where our group kind of meets. And we work on that XML standard that is managed through those property management tools, supported and maintained through those kind of larger and more streamlined property management tools like Yardi and RealPage, helping to make sure that the fields that we need for compliance and asset management are available and pulled through that XML. So that is something that we continue to work on and collaborate on to make improvements to that data streamlining as much as possible over time. So from an education perspective, we try to do a number of things to reach out and connect with this industry in the in-betweens of conferences and our own user group events. So this webinar is certainly one of those opportunities for us. We also host a ProQuorum training webinar series. We did that for a good chunk of the year so far. I think 2.5 months or so, we were offering ProQuorum webinar trainings really focused around tenant event compliance, because we have a large audience that uses ProQuorum to connect with our agencies for that compliance. So that happened for the first quarter of the year. So we are taking a little summer break from that series, and we'll resume in kind of the early fall with our training series on ProQuorum, which will likely be on a monthly occurrence for the fall. We offer ProLink Technology Live. So that is our annual user conference. It's virtual, and we actually have that open to all attendees, anyone. So clients and others that might be interested in what we're doing are welcome to join that event. It is primarily a training event, so kind of getting in the weeds, but certainly good for those who might be interested in understanding ProLink more at a detailed level, whether or not you're using the system. That will occur in the early fall, so that date's to be announced fairly soon here. And then we just brought back our in-person user conference this year, which was so much fun. I'm so glad we brought it back. That was what we kind of used to do prior to going remote and really upping our game from a virtual standpoint a few years ago. And we brought it back for the first time since I think 2019 was the last time we'd hosted. And it was just such a wonderful opportunity for us to connect and brainstorm and have more intimate and detailed conversations around the initiatives and where our product should be going to serve our clients. So thank you very much to everyone who came. There's a lot to come from that conference. It's really influenced our roadmap going forward for the rest of this year and into next year. So I will go ahead and move forward with just a couple other highlights. So as I mentioned, here's just a map view of the agencies we're supporting. We are going through implementation and expect to add a few new agencies to our live list here over the next year or so. So we're busy and having some great projects right now with some of the new states that we're working with. Maryland Housing is currently going through implementation, as well as the city of Chicago. So thank you guys for joining our ProLink team. Quick little overview of our product stack. So we have right here, we call this our bird's eye view, just kind of illustrating how the ProLink product suite works to support your needs. So you can see our housing finance agency represented at the top here with ProLinkHFA represented as your back office database system. It's that source of record keeping that final truth of your data. And then we have Procorum on the like kind of towards the bottom, but representing that system that facilitates your relationships and data intake from any external parties. So that would be developers, contractors, property managers, outside legal, anybody who you might be working with on deals that are outside of your organization would be collaborating with you through Procorum, a lot of times replacing the need for email. And we create kind of these deal rooms, right, that can have lots of things going on, lots of collaboration, and then final sources. When those things are finalized and kind of proven out and complete, we can push that data into ProLinkHFA, into the database. So Procorum is a powerful tool, very nice for onboarding new kind of involvement from additional staff or new staff. It really kind of gets them all of the information that they need that might have been pre-existing. It helps to create a great view of your portfolio and relationships across the different individuals you might be working with and may have in the past on other deals or have multiple deals kind of in the works on. Within ProLinkHFA specifically, so just within our database, we have a few kind of major modules that we provide. So our multifamily development and bond financing module in the orange is what we're going to be focused on today during our webinar and live presentation, the demo part of our presentation. We also offer our asset management and compliance module, and then we have a single family development module. There are additional features that we have developed to support other needs in the affordable industry, including supportive services tracking. We have REO, and then we have a tool called Budget Pro, which is really a construction draw and requisition management tool that we have built through Procorum. There's a number of other features, lots of them that are not mentioned on this slide. Such as diversity compliance is a feature module that we have built that is an add-on in ProLinkHFA. And then, of course, we have our tenant event compliance module. So there's a number of other ones as well, but these are just kind of the highlights that we usually cover in this overview. So with that said, I'm going to hand this presentation over to Jim Paris, who's going to walk us through his live demo of the development module and kind of give you a little bit of a background as to what we covered on our last webinar leading into today. So thank you again for being here, and I will wrap things up after Jim.
Thanks, Bree. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. So if you guys remember, last webinar, last month, for those of you who joined, we went over how to get data in from your developers using the Procorum portal to receive their documents, and then using SmartDox to import the data they filled in to their application, importing that data into the ProLinkHFA database. So today we're going to go the step beyond that, which is, okay, now that I have the data in ProLinkHFA, what can I do with it? How can I process it? What tools are at my disposal for processing this application, doing data analysis, maybe pulling things out into Excel to do some underwriting, generating tax forms, things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let's see here. Let's do this screen. All right. So we're looking here at ProLinkHFA. So once you import your data from that SmartDox application, what's going to happen is there's going to be a dev deal and or a tax credit deal. So we have two modules for origination in ProLinkHFA. One is dev deals. This is going to be for home or agency financed programs. And then we have tax credit deals, which is for LIHTC or other tax credit allocations. And we can have it set up to where there can be one application that creates both. Let's say you're doing tax credits along with some kind of financing together in one application, or they can be kind of separate deals where you're doing, just home or some kind of financing program or just a LIHTC on that specific deal. But here I'm going to start in dev deals. And what I'm going to start with is I'm going to give a quick overview of the kind of data that is now going to be in this deal, both in the dev side and then the tax credit side. So on my dev deal, now I have all this information populated. This is my overview screen. It kind of is what it sounds like it is. It's just giving me kind of just a basic, just the highlights of the salient facts of this deal. So where this deal is, what kind of deal it is it a new construction or a rehab? Who's assigned to it as my potential asset manager in the future, construction control officer, etc. What kind of funding is related to it, and then any draws that have happened so far. My edit deal screen drills in a little bit deeper on the overview details. So developer, it can get into things like developer type, stage in the process, specific dates, for-profit, nonprofit, 501c4, developer types, financing purposes. And then we have this text box that can fill in things like nature of the deal, certain parties involved, etc. Income limit information. So this one's all 30%, but I can kind of layer this with different AMIs if I want to. Dates related to this deal. So my dates and stage and status history kind of give me an idea of, is this deal moving forward through the process as it should? And then you have custom fields here. So you're going to see there's custom fields throughout the system that are defined by the user. These can be added to your SmartDox template. They can be analyzed in a reporting tool as well. So anything that is not already a standard field in ProLinkHFA can be one of these custom fields, or what we call user-defined fields. Deal entities, this outlines, who's associated with this deal. So my construction company, my GC, developer, management agents, etc. I can drill into these and see like specific contacts within those organizations too. If I drill into it, go to associations, and I only have my owner here, Dennis Jackson, but I can fill this in with multiple contacts. Under deal property, this is going to give me some information about specifically about the building or the property itself, like where is this, longitude, latitude, county, process type, how many LIHTC units there are, how many total low income units there are, employee units, market units, etc. And then I have amenities and utilities and structure information. My target data, I really like this one because when we get into data views, you can use this to kind of pull together an analysis of who am I serving with this development, who in the community is benefiting from this. My deal budget, this breaks down sources and uses. So total HFA funds, total equity funds, and then I have my draws that have happened so far. I can go into my fund detail. It shows me the specific funds involved. And then I have my costs breakdown that I can have in here as well based on that application I got. I have draws. This is a big one. So this is going to be draws that have been requested and released. There's some cool data views on this that I can show you later on. I have construction control in here too. So I can go over inspections, results of those construction inspections, minimum requirement waivers, and then of course custom fields too. That's pretty much like a high level overview of my dev deal, things that I would capture for, home or agency financed type of activities. I'm going to go over to tax credit deals. And what you can actually do here is if you have a dev deal that's associated with a tax credit deal. So if you're doing what we would call a blended deal, where you have maybe like a LIHTC 9% combined with home, anything that's involved like, hey, direct financing or kind of direct funding versus anything that combines direct funding with tax credits, you can have them associated here through this agency activities tab, and they can link to each other. So if I go here to the associated tax credit allocation deal, now I'm in my tax credit deal for Garden Court Apartments. So this is where I would kind of evaluate and process any tax credit allocations for this deal. So my overview screen, similar concept here to what you saw over on the dev side. There's a little bit of differences in the information you see because we are kind of dealing with looking at this from the context of tax credit allocations. So I have things like my tax credit pool that's involved. I have more details on units and income percentages. And I have cool stuff down here like census tract, congressional district. Again, things that I can use when I do kind of portfolio-wide analysis over on data views to show, maybe someone from the state legislature wants to know what are you doing for my district or my census tract that I represent. Edit deal goes a little bit deeper into like overview of things. Again, you have dates to see, hey, is this deal moving through the process as it should? Entities, I'm not. It's going to look the same as on the dev side, so I'll skip that. Current stage and previous stage. I like this because you can actually snapshot certain information based on where you're at within the process. So as I move things forward in the process, I can actually save this data based on a certain stage. So when I move it forward and start changing things, I still have record of what the data was at that prior stage. So here, I have a lot of the information that was in the deal overview screen that now is going to be saved at each stage. I've got my feasibility information here, so things like qualified basis, applicable fractions. If there's nonprofit information involved, I can put that here. I have my multi-year tracking too, and then structured utility amenity information. Now, if that changes, I have record of what it was at a prior stage. And I do have custom fields too. My unit mix is pretty much what it sounds like. I have, income target. So my income limits for the units, how many bedrooms, how many units are 1 bedroom and 40% AMI at this square footage, and then my rent. And then property financing, development costs. This is kind of just mirroring what you saw over in the dev deal. And then we have construction control, again, a similar concept. And next webinar, we'll be going into once you close out a deal and it goes into asset management and compliance, how do you manage that portfolio property, which is linked on this portfolio properties tab here. What I'm going to start to get into now is tax forms. So on this buildings screen, this is going to separate all the buildings and it's going to base it off of their BIN number. So I have these building records and I have records for each building for each stage as well. But I'm going to go to my 8609 app feasibility and show you guys how I deal with 8609s once I have all of this information in here. And I've moved that deal to this stage of the process. So here, I have my building under this tax credit deal. I've got some 9% stuff related to it. I've got some state tax credits related to it. I can add an 8609 record down here. I already have one that's in process, so I'm going to go into that one. And now I have my 8609 form that I'm starting to fill out, and it will generate this information based on the data that's already in the system. And then once this all gets filled out, you can create the IRS form with this button up at the top, and it creates that 8609 for you right away in a PDF. This can be sent out to be signed as well. Another thing I'll highlight before I start going into like how I do like portfolio wide analysis. How do I see things from a portfolio wide standpoint? How do I see all of my deals, evaluate my tax credit cycles and my tax credit pools? What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you one last thing about like a property specific functionality we have. So the last webinar I showed you guys how to import data with SmartDox. So I'm going to show you now how to pull data back out of the system using SmartDox. So here I have like an underwriting sheet that is mapped to the system. So now what I can do is I can pull data out of the database to do things like underwriting. This can work with all kinds of documents. I can even hook this up with Microsoft Word to generate letters. So really anything that you can think of that you want to pull out of the system into something like an Excel sheet or a Word document, you can do that using SmartDox Get. So now we're looking at the flip side of it. Last time we saw SmartDox Send. This time we're looking at SmartDox Get. So if I click Get Data here, it's going to ask me which deal this is related to. I'm going to put in Garden Court. Click OK. I'm going to pull that data in. And now I have all the data in from that Garden Court deal in this underwriting model, and I can start kind of evaluating things in my underwriting model here. So again, SmartDox is great for gathering that application from the developer, importing it into the backend database, so you have everything in the database for analysis. But SmartDox is also great for pulling data out for things like letters or underwriting models or any other financial modeling that you want to do in Microsoft Excel. So now I'm going to move on to some more, like I'll call it like global functionality, functionality that would relate to your entire pipeline, if that makes sense. So first thing I want to show you is we do have a cool utility here. I showed you the 8609, but we do have a cool utility for kind of consolidating all this information to generate your annual 8610. So I'm going to go into 2021, which is pending. And so what I've done here is it's similar concept to how that 8609 form was generated. It's going to pull the data that we have in the system to populate these fields. You can add your associated 8609s here, and that will help populate these fields. Any Schedule A information that's related to it is going to be in this tab as well. And then what I can do is I hit calculate. I've already done that. That's going to calculate these fields based on these two tabs. And once that's calculated, I can create my IRS form 8610 here by clicking that button. Next thing I'm going to go into is how do you manage funding rounds and allocation cycles? kind of from a global perspective. So I have another utility in my utilities screen called allocation cycles. And this is my tax credit allocation cycle. So I have my 9% competitives, my 4%, of course. And then if there's any state specific program or anything like that, I can manage it as its own cycle in here too. I'm going to go to 2021 9% competitive. And here, this is going to give you a view of this current tax credit cycle. Cycle year, this tab's pretty basic. And then I have more information about like my per capita credits, national pool credits, non-competitive credit total. I can put in pre-allocations if those are applicable, and it'll calculate the net credits available. Any pools, return credits, and then I've got multi-year tracking here too. I like this data view. There's a data view built into this called deals. And what this allows you to do is you can actually create these views that give you an idea of really how much has been requested, how much has been issued, and you can kind of use this information to kind of score and evaluate and compare these applications and compare it against how many credits you've issued and how much there's left to give out. So I have a couple different views I've put together here based on this information. Next thing I'm going to show you is we have a utility for fiscal year allocation tracking. So I can look at any year here. I'm going to look at 2015 for this example. It's going to break out the different funding programs related to that fiscal year, what the budget is, what's been closed, card, reserved, and remaining, and the totals are down here. So I can really get like a global view now of how much funding I have to give out, how much has already been given out, and how much I have left. How many more deals do I need to find to get this money out the door? I'm going to look at this. I think this is a good example. I can drill into just one of these funding programs and kind of look at it for the perspective of just that funding program. So now I can see a breakdown of, okay, the stuff I have awarded that I have given out, where did it go? The last thing I'm going to show you here is how you can kind of in aggregate look at all of your data in your pipeline across data views. So data views are our reporting tool for those of you guys who don't know. It's very customizable based on what data you want to see and how you want it broken down. I'm going to go into my dev deals here and just give you an example. So I have my active deals here, but you notice this is all kind of like sorted and filtered based off of a few things. So again, my data views are very, very flexible, very, very customizable. If I go to my view manager, I can show you here, I can choose which columns go into this data view by kind of like just adding them and removing them, and then I can use this to sort them. So as you can see, all the different data points that we have in ProLinkHFA, they're not just there to be there. They're there so you can kind of run reports and analysis of your pipeline based on reporting needs from certain departments or leadership. I can do filters here. So I want to show active deals, so it of course can't be a dead deal. And then what I've done is, now that I've generated the data view, there's things that I can do to manipulate it within the filter grid. So one thing I can do is I can sort it. So you can see I have sorted it by deal number ascending using this button here. I have filtered it out by I wanted to see David Tester's deals. So I have filtered it by this person's name. I only wanted to see deals that were kind of larger in size, over 30. So I added that filter in the filter grid. And then you could see this grouping here. I did that by clicking on this box and dragging it up here. And now it's kind of filtered by deal stage. So I can see everything that's in approval request, everything that's in commitment, everything that's in dispersing, everything that's in intake, kind of cleanly divided by stage here for, just make it visually useful to me from an analysis perspective. And you can also export these into Microsoft Excel right from this menu for if you want to manipulate the data further, if you want to do some fancy stuff in Microsoft Excel. A couple of other example data views I'll show you guys is draws. So a lot of accounting folks like this data view. I created a data view that's like approved draws that are ready for accounts payable. So somebody in the accounts payable department can create this view for themselves, run it on a weekly basis, and make sure that this money is actually getting out the door. I just have like a generic draw summary. So this is like a summary of all draws, and then I've grouped it by deal. So if I want to look up a specific deal, I can go to the filter grid, and then I can see all their draws kind of broken out. Or if I just want to scroll through this and see all deals, I can do that too. What's my next example? Oh, I have construction control. So I can monitor construction status of all of my deals that are in construction right now. And what I've done is I want to see who the construction control officer is. So if anything kind of shows up as alarming to me or something that I'm confused about, I can look these I can look at these deals and reach out to this person. Another thing I've done is I have grouped it by construction status. So I have a clean visual here of like, okay, this is done 100%. These ones are 10 to 25% complete. Just kind of cleanly breaks it down for me where these different deals are at in construction. I'll show you a couple tax credit examples here. You go to tax credit deals. I have a 10% test due dates view here. So I can pull in information related to my 10% test and different due dates for different items related to that. I think there's one more in tax credits that I can go over that I've built already. I believe it's under tax credit properties. Yes, basis boost review data view. So here I have built the data view that gives me kind of some insight into any basis boosts. So that's everything that I had prepared today. I tried to keep what I showed today useful for people who have both been using ProLink for a while. I know we have some of those people here today, but I know we also have people who are attending who maybe they're a new employee to the agency, or maybe some people who aren't even clients yet. So I tried to give you a broad range of things that are kind of like overview, introduction to tax credit and dev deals, and some things that, maybe if you've been using this for a while, you don't know about it yet. Looks like we have about 5 minutes left, so I will pass this back off to Brita to close us out for today's webinar.
Thanks, guys. Hold on just a second. I'm just switching the view here to share our screen again. There we go. Just to wrap us up, thank you, Jim, for the webinar. Appreciate the live demo today. Just to connect on next event, really quick, Wednesday, July 17th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. That will be the date for our next webinar. We're going to be talking about interdepartment collaboration on ProLinkHFA. So actually connecting in now our development team, our development module to the asset management module and continuing this kind of storyline of that deal lifecycle, and how those departments interconnect in the modules in ProLinkHFA. So please join us back for that session on July 17th. Until then, I wish everybody a wonderful rest of your month and happy 4th of July early here. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Please reach out to us if you have any questions or comments about this webinar series. Any feedback or desires that you'd like to see in future webinars is greatly appreciated by our team. Thank you very much. Have a good one.